126 million watched the Chiefs collapse on national television. The most viewers to ever watch the big game got to witness one of the worst games in Patrick Mahomes' career. Now, like all good QBs, he took it to the chin and has already started looking ahead. It's now time to talk Chiefs offseason moves right now. What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Happy Tuesday. I'm Hayley Lewis, and this is Chiefs News Daily. Today is a new day. Rumors of retiring players have gained a little bit of traction on social media while the NFL Combine lurks just ahead. What holes in the Chiefs roster have to be addressed this offseason? Well, let's talk through them all. But first, give us a like and subscribe right here on the KCSN YouTube channel, and let's get going. Social media showed us again why it is a double-edged sword. 1 minute, it's delivering credible news. The next second, completely false rumors are being spread all over. Well, if you fell victim to this headline, DeAndre Hopkins is retiring, like I initially did, you're not alone. A fake Twitter account posing as ESPN's Adam Schefter tweeted out last night, quote, Chiefs head coach Andy Reid told reporters that wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins informed him this morning he has decided to retire from the NFL. Hopkins retires after an 11-year career. Well, pending more investigation, the account is completely fake. The profile picture, backdrop, even bio are exactly the same as the real Shefty's with the exception of followers. Shefty has about 11.4 million followers, while this fake account has less than 4,000. But the rumors still spread quickly throughout Twitter, so much so that the veteran Chiefs wide receiver even took to social media on Tuesday to address apparent whispers of his 12-year career coming to an end. He said in a since-deleted post, quote, "Don't know what you heard, but I'm not done yet." Hopkins, the NFL's active leader in receiving yards with 12,965, intends to play in 2025. But where? Well, that's going to be the question. The wide receiver joined Kansas City mid-season after a trade by the Tennessee Titans. The 32-year-old is now an unrestricted free agent and free to sign with any team. All right, now that everyone has had a full day to come to terms with what the heck happened on Sunday, let's check back in on what's being said about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Peter Schrager, we like him, on Good Morning Football gave his thoughts on the Chiefs' loss and really just the future of this club.
You know, it was a 3.5-hour game, and the Chiefs ran 65 offensive plays. And to me, it's heartbreaking that 3.5 hours and 65 plays are going to dictate whether Mahomes is considered the greatest of all time or just another good quarterback. We talked about Montana never losing a Super Bowl. We talked about Bradshaw never losing a Super Bowl. We talked about Brady going to 10. Now Mahomes, who would have been the first ever to get a three-peat, has to say, well, I've had a really good NFL career and I'm in the conversation, but I can't in good faith say I've had as good a stretch as those guys. But I would like to say this. It probably sucks today for Patrick Mahomes, and it'll suck tomorrow, but I think those 65 plays and those 3.5 hours are going to help the next 10 years of his career because they will fuel him. Just as we are on Good Morning Football on a Tuesday morning, the 2 days after the Super Bowl, saying, all right, got to go back to work, that's what Mahomes is going to do. And the fortunate thing is he's not 35 years old. He's not 36 years old. This isn't his last chance. This will spur him to go on into his 30s and try to erase those 3.5 hours, those 65 offensive plays, to kind of rewrite the script another time. But I will take this one more direction, too. Mahomes was the loser on Sunday, and it could have been very easy to wallow, and it could have been very easy to just take that one in the gut and say, I'm going to disappear. Patrick Mahomes stood at that podium for 13 minutes, more than the maximum amount of time, 13 minutes, and answered every question and looked every reporter in the eye. And when asked about the Super Bowl, had this to say.
Anytime you lose a Super Bowl, it's the worst feeling in the world. They'll stick with you the rest of your career. I mean, these will be the two losses that will motivate me to be even better for the rest of my career because you only get so few of these, and you have to capitalize on these, and they hurt probably more than the wins feel good.
So Mahomes got out there in front of that Gatorade sign and just answered every question. He owned it.
I thought he summed it up perfectly. Being a gracious loser speaks volumes. Take a look at this with me. Patrick Mahomes, in 7 years as a starting quarterback in the NFL, 3-time Super Bowl champ, He's been to 5 Super Bowl appearances, 7 AFC Championship appearances, 17 postseason wins, 2-time NFL MVP, 3-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time first-team All-Pro, and 6-time Pro Bowler. For the 29-year-old, who has only started 7 seasons, this is just the beginning. ESPN's Marcus Spears also weighs in with his thoughts, saying that this one loss is not going to define the franchise, let alone Patrick Mahomes' legacy.
Marcus, as we look at what's next for Kansas City on the offensive side of the ball, what is the biggest need?
Shoring up this offensive line, and let me say this, I'm not concerned about the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll make a Super Bowl within the next 3 years. Listen, I don't want everybody to have this knee jerk. We saw Philly handle their business and take care of this football team. It was built on pressure. It was built on watching Patrick Mahomes under duress for a large majority of this game. And remember, y'all, the offseason after they lost to Tampa, they spent a lot of money to shore up that offensive line, and they went on to win 2 more Super Bowls. I don't think it needs to be different. Obviously, we know that this team has some holes that they need to fill. They've depended, I've heard Mina say, they've depended on a lot of draft picks, and those draft picks have played well. This front office hasn't changed. I don't think this head coaching staff is going to change. But more importantly, this quarterback position ain't going to change. And we know when you got one like that, 15, you got a shot every single year. They'll retool and revamp. Offensive line needs to be first.
Spot on. They will be back, no doubt. With a combination of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, it's unavoidable. All right, here's more from what QB1 had to say after the game. I think you should hear this quote. Mahomes said, quote, "There's things that I have to get better at, and they kind of showed today on the biggest stage. I'm going to find a way this offseason to combat what defenses are doing to me as far as rush lanes and different coverages that they are playing." Now, Mahomes continued to say, "That's the beauty of football. You can never be satisfied with just coming out there and playing, thinking you're going to have success year in and year out. These defenses are going to continue to get better, so I have to get better. I take a lot of ownership on that, and I want to hopefully come back and play better football next season." Well, Mr. Patty Mahomes, the road to Super Bowl 60 in the Bay starts now. All right, let's get to our next clip. This is NBC analyst Chris Collinsworth. He joined Kay Adams this morning to weigh in on the Chiefs' Super Bowl loss.
There are NFL fans, I don't know if you know this, Chris, but that think that you really like Patrick Mahomes. And they're going to hear what you're saying about the O-line and say, you're giving him outs. You're giving him outs. You're saying he should have gotten rid of the ball faster. How much of this is on Patrick Mahomes?
Some. I mean, clearly some. It was, he was missing some throws as well that were, the classic don't throw back across your body, which we've seen him do 1,000 times, but that's what he did for the pick six. He did not have a good first half. He just didn't. And he not only had to be good, he had to be great, and probably couldn't even have been great enough for him to have won this game. And honestly, I don't care if anybody thinks that I like Patrick Mahomes, because I do. I do like the guy. He's been one of the most phenomenal players we've seen in the league for a long, long time. And I think everybody went into that Super Bowl with the same exact thought, which was essentially the Eagles have better players when you take their roster as a whole. And Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes. And ordinarily, it's a pretty safe bet, whether you're betting on baseball or football, who's got the ball in their hand, who's the starting pitchers, right? And even though Jalen's been great this year and has played really well, he hasn't been Patrick Mahomes. And so let's say, and so I thought it was sort of a toss-up, but you could tell from the beginning, not only was the Eagles roster better, it was a lot better. I mean, it wasn't even really close in that way. And the way that Vic Fangio was able to stick to his guns, he never had to come out of his game plan. He never did. Like, I thought, all right, what happens when Mahomes makes those couple of plays and it's a tight game and we're coming down to the fourth quarter and all that sort of stuff? Never happened. It just never happened. And that was my take on the game most of the week, that I thought either the Eagles would win by 2 touchdowns or Mahomes would win it in a close one that came down to the fourth quarter. And it was over way before that. It just never closed.
All right, folks, it is time to already start looking at the board. The offseason is already here, which means it is Brett Veach's time to shine. The NFL Combine starts in less than 2 weeks, which means that Kansas City is already back to work. Now, Matt Verderam shared on Twitter, and I want you guys to see what he had to say. Here's what he says. For the offseason, what he thinks needs to happen. He says, for starters, extend Tooney, smooth cap hit, dumb a year in 2026 for Kelsey, sign Trey Smith, maybe Justin Reed, maybe Turk Wharton, let most other free agents walk, restructure Mahomes' contract if needed, draft a left tackle in round 1, move up if needed, take a long look at the offense's mentality. What do you think about this tweet? Let us know in the comments what you would do during the offseason. Now, for reference, the Chiefs' free agents are Trey Smith, Nick Bolton, Justin Reed, Charles Omenihu, Tershawn Wharton, Marquise Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, and Justin Watson. All right, as for the NFL draft, which is in Green Bay starting on April 24th, the Chiefs have just 6 draft picks, 4 in the first 3 rounds at least, due to the L'Jarius Sneed trade. Now, after drafting back-to-back left tackles in the last 2 previous drafts, is Kansas City yet again going to be looking for another rookie to contribute to the offensive line? Let me know what you guys think below. All right, folks, that does it for another episode of Chiefs News Daily. You know the drill. As always, we'll be back here again tomorrow. In the meantime, we ask that you like and subscribe right here on the KCSN YouTube channel. I meant it. Tell us what you think in the comments below, and we will see you back here on Wednesday.